Hello everyone, Bertina Amy here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I thought I would do a Dollar Tree and Temu DIY Phoenix Wreath. And I have a very exciting announcement, so stay tuned till the end of the video. Okay, so I want to try to repurpose this wire round piece. This came from when I did the DIY tag using the wooden letters that I DIY'd. So at the time I was looking for wooden block beads, but they were only selling it at my local store on these wire wreath forms and beaded up like that. So here's what I'm seeing now at my local store. Wood beads instead, like regular wood beads. But I'm gonna try to see if I could bend this. It's with these pliers, and I want to wrap this and attach it to this wreath because I want to use both, because I want to create something totally new. But let's try this first. Grab. All right, first I'm going to try to pry this open. Okay, should be enough. Trying to get that on there. Let's see if I can crimp it down. Okay, that should work. All right, I have clear on hand. I don't want to go to the store and get black ones, but I'm just gonna, because I want this to stay down towards the bottom, so I'm gonna just zip tie this. Just get that nice and taut. Then I just go ahead and push back the piece that holds it into place into the inside part of the wreath so that it doesn't affect or interfere with the ribbon wrapping. Let's see, maybe I can do this like so. And then I don't actually want that. Okay, but I want this. Okay, let's see if that'll, yeah. Then I can crimp this. I'm sorry. This thing is so large, it's hard to keep it in frame. Okay. And then I'll take another zip tie and hope for the best in terms of getting this to stay. I think I might use more zip ties because I want it to be basically the same height throughout or whatever. Hope that makes sense, but trim off the excess. Okay. Periodically put this way. Kind of even. So here I'm just trying to adjust each side so that they're as even as possible. Now it's gonna have to be by these bars. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. Put it between these two because they tend to want to glide. Like that. And then one over here. Flip it around. Okay. So I actually just used a pin to like undo it so I can preserve it for later and reuse it. But I'm going to go ahead and trim these off. I think. Oh, and you know what? I just realized this should have been over in here instead of over here, because this can still glide. This way, this one does not glide. Okay, let me do my little hack. Taking any kind of pin, and then you just poke in to lift the piece, and it should slide right out. Okay, so I'm just gonna move it over to this side. Okay, I think that should be good. Let's go ahead and trim off the excess, and then we can start ribbon wrapping this. And hopefully it turns out well. All right, that wasn't trimmed off very well, but that's all right. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so next for the ribbon wrapping part, I wanted to start by sharing what types of ribbons I'm considering for this project. And of course, you've already seen what it's going to look like in the end, but in any case, so I have 3 of these, then I've got this, and I've only got the one, and it's totally different size, as you can see. I don't think 3 is going to be enough to cover this wreath form. Okay, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and use this, and if I need more, I can pick up some more. I'm going to go ahead and start by first, see if I can get this a little bit more here. Okay, so I'm going to start first by wrapping it. Let's see, I'm going to start with over here first, and then we're going to use my new ribbon wrapping method. Where one is over, well, I got to lock it into place first. So I'm going to first pull all this through, and then we're going to do right over left. All right, so then this is going to go under, under, and around. The other side's going to go over and around. And we're just going to repeat that until we run out of material. So I will be right back right when that happens. All right, so to make sure we have plenty to still wrap, I'm just going to add some hot glue to a new unrolled ribbon. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side, but basically we're going to just continue wrapping. Okay, so here's how it's looking so far, and I just got to glue down the edges here. Let me show you, hang on. Because again, this is so massive. Turn it around this way maybe. So I just added a bit of glue over here and then push down. I tried to tighten up the ribbon, but not the best with doing that. But this is holding up super well. All right, so this might end up feeling kind of clashy, but I'm going to use at least one of these rolls because I have a lot of these gaps where the black bar is visible. So I want to cover those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this instead of the... You don't have to do this. You can simply just take another one of these rolls. I do have an extra one. But I'm going to use this because I'm trying to incorporate more red colors. And this is a lot more of a burnt orange to me. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the packaging. It'll be fine. I'm just going to see if I can fold it. It doesn't really hold very well, but I really like this shade of red, and it'll kind of come off like a bit of a gradient to me, I think. So I'm just going to be swerving this in and around the gaps to kind of fill that. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this off camera. All right, coming up on the end here, I'm just going to pull it through one more time. And then the excess there. And this is what remains left of one roll. I'm going to hot glue these back here because I'm not intending to showcase the back. So it's not perfect, but it gives it more of a cleaner edge so that any of the fraying strands are less noticeable now, and it kind of almost in a sense like outlines it. And I know you can't really see too much of it. It's, like I said, it's massive. The idea is that these are the wings. I'm loving this so far. I think this is super cool. The wire form that I use on the inside is holding up so beautifully. It's nice and strong. That's why I didn't want to throw it out. I held onto it for a while, at least a year, maybe a few years. Okay, so to build the body, I picked up 3 of these from Dollar Tree, and if you were to buy this from Walmart, it's going to cost you more than $1.50 each, just an FYI. That's what I last saw, and at least in my area. So I'm going to build it by attaching these 3 together. And I'm going to use this as a head. I happen to stumble across this at the thrift store. I have these in my stash. I've had these forever. I don't even know where I got these. This might have been Joann's from ages ago. If you don't have something like this, skewers would work perfect for this. So you could absolutely pick this up at Dollar Tree. But the idea I have is I'm simply just going to stack these. And I'm just going to stab it like so. And then I'm going to build it. Hopefully centering it. I'm just going to turn this upside down so I can see the center. And then flip it. And then like that. I just want it attached. Just going to stab this. Like so. Push it down. And then I'm going to add hot glue. It's not perfectly even, but you know what? It's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to pull this up. And then add hot glue. Okay, should be enough. Cut this out because I don't want this popping out. It just kind of gives it a weird bulk. And then I know this is going to be longer than I need it to be, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to cut off the excess. There we go. And then, yep, like that to attach it. Like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to get this cut off. I'm going to try to use my wire cutters. Hopefully this will be strong enough. Okay, that did work. Okay, cool. And then a little bit popping out, I'm not too worried about. We're going to cover that up anyway. All right, so next I have this roll of, what do they call this? I think it's supposed to be like feather trim. Yeah, trim. I've never used this stuff before, but I'm thinking this will make a nice accent. And let's see here. Okay, I see what I got here. All right, it's kind of like a feather boa. All right, I'm probably going to end up using most, if not all, but it's much more fuzzy than anything. All right, so here's what I have unraveled. I also have this here. I believe I got this from Temu. All right, these appear to be individual feathers. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm just gonna start gluing. I hope this turns out well, guys. I have no clue, but all right. Well, worst case scenario, if I don't like the way it looks, I can always redo it or something like can fix it. And then I don't want to cut it because cutting it would give me less surface area to attach things to. All right, so I'm just gonna glue this all along here so that the bottom looks all the same. And then I might glue some up top here. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera. I'll be right back. All right, I do want to cut this. I want to keep a tail, but I want to cut this because I don't need it to be super long, but I'm not going to let this go to waste. I'm going to go ahead and glue this to the head, and then I'm not going to worry about anything showing because I'm just going to add in feathers in between. I hope that makes sense. I'll be right back. Okay, so there's the top, there's the bottom. I purposely left a tail. Now I'm going to meticulously hot glue on individual feathers all throughout the parts that we can visibly see the green. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that, and I'll come back. Okay, so here is my Phoenix so far. It's not perfect, but well covered up. I'm going to add long feathers to the top of this a little bit later to give it sort of that like crown thing going on. And this is a tail that I want to attach feathers to, but before I do that, it's not much of a tail. It makes me think like, I don't know, like a monkey's tail or something like that, which isn't giving me the right vibes. So I thought I would take some red pipe cleaners and attach some of these feathers on first and then attach them to the bottom part. And then also, if I can, assuming I should have plenty of feathers left, I'm going to also attach them to this as well. So basically, I'm curling the ends here because I want more surface area to be able to glue it to the bottom of my DIY Phoenix. Meticulously attach feathers. I'm going to do this off camera because that's going to be otherwise really time consuming to showcase. Okay, so this is what the left side's looking like, and this is what the right side's looking like. And they're not perfect, but some hot glue. I was going to do both sides, but I think this looks more like fire when I just leave it the way it is. Okay, so I have these 3 pipe cleaners I have as part of my stash, and I'm just going to take one, wrap it around. You know, I'm trying this project for the first time, so I don't exactly know what I'm doing. All right, that's a little bit better. And then I think what I'm going to do is just add some hot glue here and just hold that in place until it's just add hot glue and then push it down. Very time consuming, so I don't expect a lot of people to be interested in recreating this, but hopefully you're at least enjoying the video so far. I'm just going to start attaching some feathers along this way. Okay, so I made a crown off camera following the same steps as doing the tail, and I'm just going to add some glue and then stick this down, stick in it, hopefully. There we go. And then add some hot glue so these two kind of attach to each other. Okay, so next I'm going to make the beak. I'm just going to grab some air dry clay. Okay, and then just need a little bit of clay. That should probably be more than enough. So I'm just going to make like a snake. Okay, let's see. So I want it to be, it's not going to be perfect. Let's see, I'm going to just, all right, this is roughly the size I'm going to have the beak at. So here I'm just taking a toothpick and creating sort of a check mark on either side of the nose, making sure that the long end of the check mark is on the upper part and the shorter end is on the lower part. Something like that, or at least that they're seemingly even on either side. So I did the best that I could, but this is the speeded version of that. All right, we're going to let this dry though. Stick this in here to let it dry. So here I'm just taking my largest googly eye, cutting along the glued attached edge, and I want the clear domed shaped piece of this googly eye. I painted the inner parts of the dome in black off camera. I wanted to figure out where the center is, so I attached that extra bit of wire about here. It looks like it's kind of covered up a little bit. Let's see, got this bar and this bar. Most likely, actually, it's probably about here. So I'm going to use this clip so that I'm aware that truly this is the center, like the way it got tighter around here instead. I mean, if we want to go base it off of that for that reason alone, then the true center would really be like here. So I'm actually okay with going with that because that might actually look more accurate. Sorry, hit the camera. So this year I found these dahlias, and I know that they're $1.75, but honestly, I find the flowers that they're getting in now to be, it seems like, even though it's obviously faux flowers, I think they're better quality. They're not as flimsy. Like these are more firm, but the color combinations are gorgeous. Like absolutely love the shine on this. I think the difference of this as the outer edge. Let me see if I can show you, because what I did was I popped one off camera and I tested it as like the makeshift feathers, and I think that's going to be absolutely stunning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down in half to extend how much of these flowers I actually really have. Meanwhile, I'm going to glue them all along here. And the reason why I did the center part up here is because I'm going to be attaching the DIY Phoenix in the center bottom part here. And this clip directly points down to the center. So this is the part where if I have not enough florals, I want to make sure I have it even on either side from the center leading up to the bottom. I hope that makes sense. I'd rather be more scarce towards the bottom since some portion won't be seen anyway because the bird's going to cover it. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I made quite a few of these where I glued the layers over top each other after cutting them in half first. I also took out the red plastic piece, but I'm going to make this my center top, and I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm just going to stick it right at the back. And then I'm going to do it again on the other side, and I'm going to keep going until this entire wreath has coverage. And I'll be right back when that's done. So here's all my orange petals cut in half and glued to each other. And I'm going to repeat this with some yellow sunflowers as well. But I wanted to show a portion of this wreath so far where I went ahead and glued the red ones that I was cutting in half earlier. And I just attached it to the back. And I feel like it's giving those feathery vibes. And I'm just going to go around and glue on the orange ones as well. I'm gonna play around with that and then glue them on, and then we're gonna add some yellow ones. And I wanted to share that I kept a larger gap right here because that's where I'm gonna attach the bird or the phoenix here anyway, so you're not really gonna see much of that anyway, especially with the long tail. And anyway, it's not all spaced perfectly evenly out, and I'm totally fine with that. These projects never come out perfectly anyway, so so I'm going to go ahead and glue these on. And okay, so here is my wreath with the red now and orange feathers attached. So here I'm just adding a bit of hot glue to the back of my black domes and adding a thumbtack into it. And I was debating between these two sets of eyes. Then I covered up a binder clip using leftover ribbon and red pipe cleaners. Then I strung a zip tie to the back of the bird through the red pipe cleaner around the neck, then strung it through the binder clip. Then I glued these DIY pipe cleaner claws to the bottom of the bird. And here's the final result. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So now I'm excited to announce that I am currently selling personally designed t-shirts based off of my upcoming book, The Cancer Dragon. Here I'm unboxing some orders from coworkers who I'm very grateful to for supporting my mission. If you were to ask me honestly, the idea for this logo came from my DIY Cancer Dragon wreath. My husband bought me a shirt once that said, "I kicked cancer's ass," but because of where I work, HR would have had a hissy fit over that, so I decided to design my own. To me, there's something to be proud of in becoming a Cancer Dragon Slayer, and I really hope my journey inspires you. I never planned on designing shirts for this, but as I kept creating and finding ways to express my life story, it just happened. I thought to myself, who else might love a shirt like this? On the back, the sayings are made for slayers, warriors, supporters, and even for honoring lost warriors. These shirts were created with all of you in mind, and I was so happy with the design that I wanted to make it available for anyone who feels connected to this journey. Okay, so here's the cover so far for my upcoming book. The basic gist of it is, I became diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, got pregnant during fertility treatments, refused to abort, despite my doctor's warnings that I'd die at birthing my child. For book updates or to support me, scan the code or click the link below. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.